This episode is brought to you by Tabletop Dominion, purveyors of handmade dice and artisan gaming accessories. Why not head over to tabletopdominion.com and use the code BILLOW to enjoy 10% off your order? Who knows, maybe you will find your very own blue dice of power.
Hello and welcome to the Billowing Hilltop podcast. Readers, we have reached book 9. That means we are 2/3 of the way through the Age of Worms and your ordeal is almost over. Well, nearly almost over. Anyway, ratings and reviews are always welcome, as is engagement on social media. You can find us on the increasingly weird Twix, or Blue Sky, or Threads, or Instagram. All of those are at Billowing Hilltop. Or you can find us on Facebook if you're old, or you can email us if you're even older. Send us a single expletive, or send us comments, or send us questions, or whatever. We just love to hear from you. Anyway, that's it. I've got no other news or information, so let us push on with episode 163 of the Billowing Hilltop podcast. Give me your heart tonight. The Age of Worms draws ever closer. In the Wormcrawl Fissure, that dark, yawning recess of the Rift Canyon, in the wilderness of the Red Hand, the servants of Chios lay their plans, their senses searching, yearning, seeking their enemies, and something else, an object, a source of disquiet, fear even. In Frosthanger, they conceal themselves, some in the shadows, some in plain sight, in the grand palaces and mansions. Here they build, they plot, and they prepare to welcome their true lord at the hour of dread. They look for omens, they watch the skies. But here too there is disquiet. Who among them is masking their true nature? Which of their closest confidant and servants work against them? Our heroes face the same dilemma. Who can they trust? Who is showing them the true path, and who works against them? And do they have an opportunity, at long last, to strike a deadly blow to the heart of the evil that faces them? Does a weapon lie in wait for them, not in the hidden tombs and catacombs of this world, but sequestered, severed, concealed, in the library of last resort? Okay, we're off.
To see the wizard.
Oh my god, I'm so ill. The Wonderful Wizard of Dunge. Right. That book's over. I'm so pleased.
Yeah, it's quite an odd book, that one, isn't it?
Very odd.
Yeah.
I kind of really liked it, and it was a bit weird, and we went off on a really odd tangent, which was partially of my own making and partially to cover the fact that we had to do some one-on-one stuff with people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know how it'll come out in the end. I mean, I don't know what the party will sound like.
I think if it had ended in a big fight, it would have been okay, that book. Just think the role play went on a bit. But if there had been a big fight at the end, like the Yugoslav, it would have been.
Well, that's kind of what I was expecting.
End.
I did have an idea that was going to go in, and then I decided against it.
Yeah. Okay.
Which was that somebody was going to try and assassinate Zeech by swapping all the food for mimics, so that in the middle of the banquet, he would have like a chicken leg in his hand, and it would try to fight his face off, and then all the cakes and everything would start jumping up, and there'd be a massive fight. And I just thought, I can't be
that would have been quite fun.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. It's also a really bridgy kind of adventure in terms of the story. You can see what they're doing. Well, I can see what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're trying to take you from one phase of the adventure to another phase of the adventure.
I think the other thing, though, is that plot development and stuff for us needs to be quite on the nose. Otherwise, we don't pick up on it.
I have good news on that score.
Excellent.
That movement from one phase to another phase, depending upon how things go in the next session or so, maybe even less actually. I think it's going to be like, okay, you can draw a line under a lot of this. Here is a much more sort of distilled, straightforward thing for you to be up to. Let's go and do that thing.
Yeah.
And we'll see whether or not you actually do that thing. I did put a thing on Twitter.
Yes,
It's the enemy of my enemy.
Funny.
Lashonna, the enemy of my enemy.
The time for roleplay is over. The time for being told where to go and then going there and killing things has begun.
Okay, but we do have to go back to
Yeah, I know.
even stuff.
Eventually.
What do you mean eventually? I've got to pick up my breastplate.
No, we left things
Yes,
with you sitting
and
in
that's like
Lashonna's
2 days
studies.
or something.
So when I mean eventually, I mean we're going to do a little bit
Okay.
and then you can do what you want.
Okay.
So I thought it was good. I thought that there were an awful lot of characters
Yeah.
that you had to kind of interact with, and there was an awful lot of open-ended new threads and new things. So I do wonder.
Well, I did like the flavour of the city. I just think it was a bit too long.
Yeah.
Some of the encounters within the city, it was kind of interesting and varied. Just could have been briefer.
The way it's laid out, it's very free form.
Yeah.
And basically you've got a kind of countdown to the gala.
Yes.
And in that time, if you start wandering about with the stuff you get from Rabadabadas, you can find Ilthane and the island
the
and Ilthane's
Rubadubadub?
lair. Do you know him?
No.
Oh. And you can find the crypt with the aspect of the Airborne Triad in it.
Yeah.
Yes, and the secret thing and the ledger with the names of the Airborne Triad crossed off.
But it's difficult from experience of those
Yeah.
kind of things. It's difficult to chivvy them along because you want
Yeah,
to give
yeah.
people opportunity of finding these things and encountering these things at a logical pace.
Yeah.
And you don't want to kind of force it. So yeah, it's tricky.
You don't want to go,
Fight scenes, though.
this is what you need,
Mm.
now let's start the party.
Mm.
The other thing is it's about authority points, and it's about establishing a set of expectations about how the city works and what the party's going to be for. Hence, characters like Bakrush,
Yes.
who is there to kind of show you that there's a sort of a lot of one-upmanship and an opportunity to sort of build up your reputation, and that's what this is all pointing towards.
Yeah.
It is interesting.
Which we
but-
didn't do.
Well, you did pretty well. Let's talk about authority points. Lucas, you've been keeping a note.
Yes.
Do you know
I
how
have
many
8.
people have got?
I have
Right.
8.
Well,
and
8
most other
sounds-
people should have 8 because effectively
Yeah.
we got sort of bunch of like 6 together and then everybody sort of did one thing extra.
Yeah, I got 8.
Yeah.
I thought we had 8. I got 7 written down there.
That's probably
I think
true.
I've got
Yeah.
6.
A couple of people didn't do extra things.
Burple
'Cause
got one
I
for
got one
the,
for
the
defeating
bragging rights
Siege.
battle.
Yeah, and I got one
and
for
an extra one for eating the
bowling.
dish of purple worm, which we didn't all do.
Oh, yeah, I didn't do
And
that.
I think Burple also got one for a battle of the bards or something, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something along those lines.
The bowling. Didn't I get one for the bowling?
Authority points and their role and the significance and how many you need. They don't tell you anything. I just don't know whether or not 8 is a lot or 8 is an absolutely laughably small number.
Right.
They just tell you that you hand them out and they're going to be significant later.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I see.
Don't give
So
the
absolutely no
story
idea.
away.
I'm not giving the story away. I'm literally telling you that I don't know the story. I can't give it away. I don't know what's going to happen.
I know, but you're spoiling some of the, I don't know.
There's no fun for me if I knew everything. Also, I've got a feeling that if I knew everything that was going to happen, I would be very tempted to radically cut it back. Mike Hibbert, who is a regular reader and sent in Fitbin as his expletive via email, tells me that it gets very piezo-y, very high-level piezo-y later on. And so we're just going to see as we go. Anyway, you spoke to Smebadu Upagli, and by the end, Lucas was almost able to pronounce her name correctly. You didn't really talk to Zeech very much.
No, which was...
Then there's these other little loose ends. There's Mahudril, who might be Mother Maggot.
Well, I've offered Zeech private lessons.
The lute that turned out... No, it is a lute.
There's a lute.
But your other thing is a mandolin,
Yes. Yeah.
isn't it? It's not a lute, yeah. How many musical instruments are you carrying?
I think I'm also carrying a flute, but other than that,
You haven't got like a bass drum on your back, with, like
Loads of
cymbals.
strings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go doom, doom.
Stealth at disadvantage.
and a kazoo in front of his mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anybody's going to have a zoo in front of his mouth, Lucas, it's my favourite player,
Mm.
Dan.
Kazoo.
Readers, we're just chatting away about The Last Adventure, and I'm here with Lucas, Master of Arachnology, Mysterious Graham,
Hello.
Corpulent Johnny,
Good evening.
favourite player, Dan, and chattering away his little diodes sparkling like Christmas lights,
Yes.
Paul.
Recently polished.
Oh, nice.
So that was it. Also, we're 2/3 of the way through the whole thing, which is quite scary.
Only 2/3. Oh, my God.
Well, it's an absolute monster. But again, picking up from Mike Hippert, it speeds up towards the end. I think he kind of cut a lot of stuff out. I don't think there are extended role-play bits like we've just had.
So, Lashonna?
Yeah, Lashonna. She is sitting, observing you. She has gestured you to a little semicircle of chairs. The fire is burning in the hearth. The hearth spirit of Mistfall Banner is glistening and silvery. And she raises the subject of the Age of Worms.
Does she now?
She starts by handing you a set of scraps of what look like further notes from Rabba-Dabba-Das.
Uh-huh.
Let me share those notes with you now. Journal fragments.
Connection is through Scaly O'Toole, is it?
Oh, Scaly knows her, yeah.
You've got 3 paragraphs there. Readers, we're looking at 3 paragraphs of script. Each paragraph represents a different scrap. They've just stuck it all on one piece of paper.
Yeah.
Lashonna is giving you the impression that she would like you to digest this information and then you should talk. So why doesn't somebody take you through these 3 scraps?
Paragraph 1. It is as I suspected. The ancient undead dragon, Dragotha, is the herald of Chios. He was granted his unlife by the worm god well over 15 centuries ago after he found the monolith in Kuluthmar and brought it to his lair in the Rift Canyon. When Dragotha was slain by Tiamat, Chios repaid him with the gift of undeath, and in so doing bound him eternally to his will.
Okay.
Paragraph 2.
Wait a second. So, after he found the monolith in Kuluthmar...
So we went there, yeah?
Yes, but the monolith is in the Rift Canyon. Where's the Rift Canyon?
He brought it to his lair in the Rift Canyon.
Yeah. We didn't see the monolith when we went there, did we?
No, but you did see a vision.
We saw the vision with the monolith.
Kuluthmar of the monolith and Chios trying to ascend to godhood and at the last instant being trapped within this monolith.
Yeah.
And another vision you saw, I think part of the final vision you saw, was of a red dragon grabbing the monolith from the top of the Spire of Long Shadows and flying away.
Right. Okay.
We'll talk about the Rift Canyon in a minute.
The rite they performed obscured Dragotha's phylactery from thought, history, and sight, as if it never existed at all. But the Order of the Storm were no fools. They suspected Chios would one day rise again and that his worms would learn to walk once more. Walk? Worms don't. The Order of the Storm, do we know who they are? Have we come across them?
No, again, let's pick that up in a tick.
Okay.
Is that not the thing you're related to,
the Wind Dukes?
Yeah.
Maybe. Could be another name for the Wind Dukes. Dragotha's presence in the world has been quiet for the last several ages. The loss of his phylactery 1,500 years ago left him a coward. Yet my research proves he stirs from his long sleep, that he now intends to waken Chios after all this time. Why now? What has changed? I fear that a journey to the Wormcrawl Fissure to confront the Draco Lich is my only remaining option.
There you go.
Okay,
So then you've got your 3
story task, isn't it?
All right, so Rabba-Dabba-Das has gone to the Rift Canyon. I'm assuming that's the same thing as the Wormcrawl Fissure.
Mm-hmm.
Lashonna nods in acknowledgement of your deductive power.
I say to her, do you know where it is?
The Rift Canyon? Well, yes, it's to the north. It's in the wildernesses to the north. But this, I do not think, should concern you yet.
Okay. Why not?
We need to find
The phylactery
the location
first.
of the phylactery of Dragotha.
Okay.
You have heard the name Dragotha before. It came up in relation to Ilthane, as in Ilthane was a servant,
Yes.
an agent of a greater dragon.
Yeah.
Dragotha.
Mm-hmm.
Scaly O'Toole, could you give me a perception check, please?
A perception check, eh?
Perception check, that's right.
I very much doubt it. Let's see
Well,
what
we'll
happens.
see.
A6.
Okay.
You see? Do I use my Ort dice, do you think, guys?
If you do, because we've reached the end of book 8, and we're 2/3 of the way through, you add a D10, not a D8.
What?
I think it's worth it.
It takes
Actually.
you up, Lucas, by just a single point of bonus. Average on a D8 is 4.5. Average on a D10 is 5.5. And I think rolling the bonus up by 1. Lots of failed saving throws recently, I've noticed.
Yeah.
as the DCs roll up and the bounded accuracy makes life for you more difficult while other things get scarier. Certainly the really nasty stuff gets scarier. I think giving you another point seems about right. And I've had a conversation or two with some other people on Twitter and social media about how to calibrate it. There was a discussion about 2d4, which effectively would have meant that you'd had a floor of +2, which is quite groovy, and an average of 5. So it would have lifted you up by a half point on average, and it would have given you a floor level. But I think you want that capacity to be able to get to a really high number from time to time. So D10.
So 2d6.
All right, I'm going to do my Orc dice, I think, on that one.
Okay.
I was just thinking,
Yeah, okay.
you know, we're talking about worms and there's these dragons. Worm is another word for a dragon, isn't it?
Yeah, usually
Is that
spelled
some
with a Y.
connection
though.
there?
Usually
Yeah,
spelled with a
but
Y. I
do you
think
think...
reaching.
Okay.
Right, I'm going to roll my
Just a thought.
perception again.
Yep.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Well, roll your D10.
Natural one's going to fail anyway, isn't it?
And a 6 is a 7. Okay. Yeah, okay, fine. Well, there we are.
Just...
Power of Ort cannot help you.
No, it's just that's where I've been rolling for the last couple of sessions and anything.
Maybe he's
Know
just
what you need
got
to
enough
do, don't you?
rollouts of the...
I need to get that pre-rolled dice in the cradle.
Yes, you do. From
Yeah, did we
Wur.
get sent that in the end? Quite expensive, isn't it?
Yeah, also pretend. So I think it was a bit of a... Anyway, let's go back to Lashonna.
Wait a minute, Johnny, I've got a pre-rolled dice. Do you want to buy it off me?
You know it's coming. My brain was going the
Depends
same
how
way.
many times you rolled it, obviously, and
100
how much you're
1,000
selling it
times.
for.
I've rolled it 1,000 times. It's never hit a 20.
I'm not good. Rubbish.
Never
I'm
got
not
above a
mug.
7.
You always overpitch things.
I'm not falling for that.
I've got a D20, Johnny, that I've just rolled 11 times and not got a number over 6.
Okay.
Do you want it?
What's your offer?
40 quid. You have to come pick it up,
That's
though.
far too much.
Otherwise you don't know that it won't get tipped over.
Okay.
Lashonna.
Yes.
So the Rift Canyon. Do you remember?
Have you got
Do you
a world
remember-
map? Can we see the world map?
No.
Oh.
We
nice.
haven't. Well,
Well, you've got a
because
continent map, haven't you? You've
because
a
I've got
map
the
of
flu and I'm
area.
really busy and I wasn't going to get into it.
Oh, okay.
North of where you are,
Can't be bothered.
in the wildlands, the Red Hand wildlands that stretch north from Frosthanger into the cold wastes,
It's only man flu.
there is a feature called the Rift Canyon. There is a tavern in town called the Angry Rifter with a mannequin of a rift plunderer rappelling down the side of the tavern on a rope in honor of the fact that there are people who make their living by heading out into the wilderness to the Rift Canyon. And a little bit like the cairns in the Cairn Hills, the Rift Canyon is another as yet unexploited
Wild West.
resource, potentially. Yes, you are right, Burple. Lashonna says the Wormcrawl Fissure is a spur accessed from the greater Rift Canyon that she believes is the location of Dragotha. And Dragotha was the red dragon that brought Kios from Kuluthmar. The legend, she says, is that Dragotha was slain by his mistress, Tiamat. He was meant to be one of the lovers of Tiamat. She says that is not true. I know that Dragotha was slain by my master, Bahamut. That you would also know, Scaly, as Beermat. That is how his name has passed down to your people.
Yes.
And she just leans into the light a bit. And the thing that you failed to see earlier, Scaly, that I now, in a moment of
Generosity, mate.
Largesse.
now you've burnt your Ort dice,
Yeah, thanks.
she is wearing this giant onyx bauble, a pendant. But beneath that, there's like almost like a dog tag, like a disc on a piece of leather, and that bears the emblem of Beermat, Scaly.
Ah, she's a fellow beer Mattian.
Pint jug and cigar. And Bahamut and Beermat are obviously the same. They share the same, whatever it is.
I see it, and I light up a cigar in honour.
She says, oh, when she starts patting her in her stuff, pulls out a packet of fags. She says, you got a light?
I go, yeah, there you go.
Ask her if she thinks the Order of the Storm refers to the Windjukes.
No. The Order of the Storm is an ancient order of druids.
Ah.
She knows of the Windjukes. The Order of the Storm...
Sorry, can I just interject? How does she reconcile Beermat and the Ebon Triad, being that she's with Zeech? Not the Ebon Triad, the Grey Woodsman and the rest of them.
She looks at you and she says, Gaily, you're a lovely fellow.
He's not that bright.
But you appear to be the victim of a rather serious misunderstanding about me and Zeech and everything.
Okay.
Shall I let you peer into my true nature, Scaly?
Yes.
She meets eyes with you. Can you give me a will save, please, Scaly?
DC.
Well, we'll worry about that in a moment.
It's not going to be rolling rubbish. It's going to be terrible. Oh, 26. My God.
You aren't bowled over. You can peer into her inner being and understand her true nature. Would you like to share that with the rest of the group, or would you like to talk about it in the cupboard of the broom?
I shall share it.
She is an ancient silver dragon.
I was just about to say that. I
Yes, you
knew
were,
she'd
Johnny.
be a dragon. I was about to
Obviously.
say she was a dragon.
Her shutters go back up. You can no longer perceive her nature. It's like she's elected to let you in.
Yeah.
I have no interest, support, love, or affection for the Grey Woodsman, for Ban Shivu, the Northern Barbaric Fools.
What are your thoughts on Marcus Doombringer and Hesty Testapod?
Hesty who?
I reckon they're dragons as well.
I've never heard of Hesty Testapod, but I do like the name. Marcus, he's a strange collection of entities, Marcus, but you can trust him. I have been aware for a while that you are visiting on his, as it were, instruction, guidance. Rabadabadas was part of Marcus's order. I mean, we're all connected. Zeech is a vain, venal, cowardly, controlling man.
Which begs the question how he came to power.
Well, by killing his brother, for starters.
Right.
He is, and was once, a very valiant warrior, and he's a very sharp political operator. But his nature is that he is the wrong person to be in power. He has the personality and the guile to seize it, but entirely the wrong personality to
But then
use it.
why was his banquet so poorly attended? What did he do to piss everybody off so much?
What, apart from murdering
The power of Frostanger is waning. The people that didn't attend are the ambassadors of all of the various lands around us. This territory all used to be ruled by Frostanger. It's now split into myriad pieces. And Zeech would like to bring everybody together. He still feels, he's still deluded into believing that he is the real power in the area. He's really not anymore. And I think that these people just felt that it was a very long journey to go and pay fealty to somebody that they're not particularly interested in paying fealty to. That's the horrible truth that he is trying to reconcile himself with.
Okay.
It suits my purposes that people think that he and I are involved and that I am a supporter of his because it helps me get my work done here, specifically in trying to track down the servants of Chios and prevent the Age of Worms. What that has meant for me has been tracking down the Ebon Triad. It is only really since Rabadabadas was last here 16 years ago, which is when we lost you, Scaly. It's really only since then that we fully understood the nature of the Ebon Triad and just quite how it was a fiction, a confection, something that has just summoned like smoke out of nowhere in order to mask Chios and his servants.
So tell us, how do you think we best find the phylactery?
Well, why don't you let Mike read you a bit of box text that he's been sitting looking at for the last half an hour?
Okay, why don't you do that?
Well, it seems obvious that Dragotha intends to release Chios from his prison, and in doing so, usher in the Age of Worms. And the solution seems obvious. A king without his commander is powerless. This is my view. It's taken Dragotha nearly 1,500 years to reach this point. Remove him now, and it will certainly be centuries before anything has a chance to release the Worm God again. Now, of course, one cannot simply waltz into a lich's lair, kill him, and be done with it. Dragotha may not know where his phylactery is, but that doesn't mean it's useless to him. Destroying him before you destroy his phylactery is as good as finding it and handing it over to him. For if he is destroyed, he will learn of its location, as he is brought back into unlife. So your first order of business should be to find his phylactery and destroy it. And that is where it gets complicated.
Yeah.
DM reassurance, it's not that complicated. I have no idea where it may be hidden, and obviously neither does Dragotha. And that is a good thing. Certainly his doubt to its location is the main reason he hasn't tried to simply destroy himself as a desperate way to discover its location. Rabadabadas left for the worm crawl fissure against my advice, intending to learn more about Dragotha, and he never returned. That was 16 years ago. But at least he had the foresight to leave his journal fragments with me. She indicates the little scraps that you've just been reading. His journal and his disappearance have become something of a minor obsession of mine, I must confess. I've spent the last 16 years on and off studying the lore of Chios, of Dragotha, and associated matters, and while I haven't managed to determine where Dragotha's phylactery is hidden, I do believe I know where the information might be found. As Rabadabadas mentions in his journal, the Age of Worms and Chios's resurrection was stopped 15 centuries ago by the Order of the Storm. Historians believe that the Order died out not long after this victory, hunted down and destroyed by the last surviving members of the cult of Chios. These records are incorrect. The Order instead retreated to their stronghold on a remote island in the Lake of the Cold Sky called Telagos. At this point, a giant arrow comes down from the sky, starts pointing to where you're going next. On this island, there is a library of sorts, a repository of the Order's lore. It has been sought for centuries by wizards, scholars, and explorers. For it is said to be filled with hundreds of years of history, memories, dreams, and, of course,
magic items.
Secrets.
Oh.
Secrets are so valuable, aren't they, my darlings? It seems the longer they are kept, the more they are worth. If a written account of the secret of what happened to Dragotha's phylactery exists, it must certainly be there.
Okay.
I know where it is.
Who said that? She looks around. Sorry, and she looks down.
Sorry.
Oh!
I pick up Bugger off and I put him on the table.
Where is it, Buggy?
Well, there are two themes. The phylactery is on the planet, the hidden planet.
She looks at Buggy as if just completely insane. And she says, a planet?
Bale of hay.
Parker.
I can explain the orrery to her. and
You've
that we're
interrupted
looking
my box
for-
text, so you better have a good explanation.
Perhaps we should listen to the box text before we jump
Yeah,
ahead
let's
of
listen to the
ourselves.
rest of the box text, and then I'll tell you about the orrery.
Oh, shall I continue with my box text?
Yes,
Please.
Yeah. Is it in bold?
It's in a box.
Of course there are complications. There always are. Before they built this library, the Order of the Storm
Druids.
drove a lasting bargain with primal elemental forces. They sacrificed their lives. Many Bothans died.
Yeah.
To whisk the island's interior off the material plane. In its place is a barren rock surrounded by an ever-raging storm of such intensity that all magic is blind to it. Ships that approach within 10 miles are invariably lost. The island itself appears on no maps, but the stories hint that the Druids left a way for those in need to reach their secrets while at the same time warding the place away from the prying eyes of Chios's undead fanatics. Worse, I'm afraid, others have learned this as well, in part as an unfortunate result of my own research. I have a fair amount of competition in the arena of gathering and keeping secrets, and invariably word gets out that I've made a discovery. My enemies are always quick to nip at my heels. I speak in particular of a simpering dog of a man named Heskin who once served me. I'm afraid Heskin has been wooed from my side with promises of wealth and power, and has taken word of this discovery to a disreputable man indeed, a powerful priest of Asmodee. She says that word with genuine disgust. Named Dal Quethos.
Sounds like a Sith Lord.
Darth Maul.
Dal what, sorry?
Quethos. Dal Quethos.
Okay.
Now, you refer to a planet.
Yeah, no, let's
Which one?
just skip that. Where's this island? then?
Workerby, Satnav, Marks, Myanus,
No, it's the hidden one.
Hearth,
The 10th one. he
Super T,
thinks.
The 10th one. No,
Genius.
It's, can't remember the name.
Katzenjammer.
Katzenjammer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing I have learnt over all my years, and certainly my understanding of Rabadabadas's view, Katzenjammer is just a myth. Sure.
Well, we can explain that whole
So-
thing in the caverns and the Red Blade.
She listens to your story with interest, and you can tell that her confidence is shaken by what you tell her. And she says, I must investigate further.
I show her the orrery,
Her eyes brighten in wonder.
and I explain that we believe that there is a missing piece of mechanism which would indicate the position of another celestial object
Yes,
in this
yes.
orrery.
She peers closely at it, and then kind
We
of
don't
looks
know
up at
where
you
the
all.
pieces are.
You think it can be adapted.
Yes, that's our belief.
This is a wonder, this object, this device. Show me, how does it operate? Oh, it's
So
moving.
I show her that you can wind it on and stuff.
Well, I never.
Did the metal workers that Paul went to be able to say they could fix it? I couldn't remember.
They could confirm that it looked like it could be adapted or adjusted, but that it was beyond
Yeah.
their powers to actually do so.
And they don't have the bits either. Which is another reason why I think it's time for me to go to visit Isenfen in the monastery.
Well,
You're
is
from
that-
the Twilight Monastery, are you not, Parker? That's true. Isenfen is a a strong ally against the forces of chaos and darkness.
She hasn't been much help so far.
Well,
Yeah.
She laughs. Zinfen works in the shadows.
In mysterious ways.
Literally, in most cases.
All right.
Would you like to have a look at Heskin and his new friends?
Go on then.
She
Yeah.
produces a small lock of hair tied with a gold wire on a fine gold chain from inside her. I don't know. Can anybody, by the way, smell something rather unpleasant? She sort of starts...
Sorry, that's
Buggy.
Bugroft. Sorry.
Oh, it is the little person. It
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Have you got some
doesn't
food in
wash.
your jacket? She says.
Ever.
No.
That smells of
hose
the
him down
third
from
course.
time to time.
Oh, that's Sessions. Sessions was piling cheese in his pockets or something, wasn't he?
No, but you were
You've been
hiding.
cramming
You
it
were
all in
hiding
your
your
jacket,
meals.
making sleight of hand checks all the way through.
Oh.
You've got a giant green worm, a slice of 4 and 20 blackburn pie, the thing that's made out of a turtle and a sturge and a axe beacon or whatever. I procured this bit of hair from Heskin's barber. It's always useful to have a little trace of people, just in case you need to keep a tag on their plans. Smiles at you, Burple. She walks over to her desk and she opens a drawer and she takes out a scroll. She reads the scroll. She has obviously cast some kind of scrying spell.
Yeah.
And a vision, a tumultuous scene, fades into view in the middle of the room for all to observe, along with the howling sound of an oceanic tempest. The image clears to show a deathly pale man lashed to a ship's mast with several coils of rope. Although details beyond a 10-foot radius around Heskin, for it is Heskin, are hazy and unclear, it's obvious that the ship is caught in a tremendous storm. The decks are awash in foamy water. Waves and driving sheets of rain torment the terrified man. Sounds of gruff sailors shouting commands and curses in Orc can be heard under the raging tumult of the storm, and now and then frantic Orc sailors move quickly into view and then back into obscurity as they busy themselves securing the ship. At one point, 2 lithe, cloaked figures drop to the deck from the rigging on either side of Heskin. They are identically dressed in tightly wrapped silken scarves and black cloaks, and have small, devilish horns sprouting from their heads. The cloaked
these the
figures
twins
spare
that we saw
condescending glances at Heskin, their eyes glowing faintly with infernal fire, before they move out of sight towards the ship's unseen bow. Soon thereafter, a blazing, red-skinned humanoid with an immense, bulging frame strides almost casually through the scene. The rain sizzles into steam as it strikes his burning skin. As he reaches Heskin, he looks down at the man and then looks towards the bow, crying out, "Dahl, it looks like your pet might be taking on water." And with that, the creature explodes into a tremendous belly laugh. Why do bad... Anyway, a few moments later, another 2 figures step into view. The smaller of the 2 is a shifty-eyed humanoid bird who wears a hooded cloak and carries a repeating crossbow. The other is a towering man, clothed in flowing blue robes trimmed with eye designs. His cowl protects his face from the wind, and his hands are obscured by long, rain-soaked sleeves. He squats before Heskin and speaks to him in a low voice. "Only a few hours more, Heskin, and we shall see if you live or die." Suddenly, the blue-robed man's head whips round to look directly into the scrying sensor. His face is pale but commanding, and twists into a snarl as he stands. "It seems we have guests, my friends. Perhaps allies of this cur." He turns back to the bound man, and as he does, he pulls back his left sleeve, revealing a rotten, black-nailed appendage that seems to writhe and twitch with its own life. "We can't have your friends watching us, so it seems your journey comes to an early end, Heskin." The putrid hand unfurls and reaches out to caress Heskin's brow. Heskin shrieks in mortal pain as the fingertip freezes the skin it touches into an angry black scar. The blue-robed man then gestures at Heskin, holds the blackened hand out palm upwards towards him, and utters a single unintelligible word. Heskin's eyes bulge, the cords in his neck throb, he screams, and his chest bursts open, and from it leaps his heart straight into the palm of the black hand, where it decays and necrotizes in front of his dying eyes. He slumps, dead, The scrying link is broken, and the image fades from view.
What a lovely man.
Cool. Isn't that an Arden Grimoire spell that summoned your heart?
Zorgon request.
Necromican.
Actually, thinking about it, that unintelligible word may have been something like Dothamun.
Okay, and this hand, is that the hand of Vecna?
The Hand of Veshna is the ancient name of Asmodee, or the Hand of Asmodee. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It very much resembles the animated hand that you did battle with in the crypt.
But this is the real thing.
Right, so...
The real
They
thing.
don't look trivial.
At the end of the Spire of Long Shadows, one of the visions that you had featured a cackling figure with a withered hand. And it is the same man.
Right.
Lashonna seems a little bit shaken by that. She looks at you and she says, the Hand of Asmodee. Heskin was a traitor, but that was a terrible fate.
The hand of Veshna was one of the prophecies.
I know of few in this world who are equal to the task of finding the Library of Last Resort on Telagos Island, and thence the location of Dragotha's phylactery.
And that's where these guys seem to be heading.
Yes, and it seems to me that you are the people to help us prevent the Age of Worms.
Okay, what's it worth? What will you pay us?
There's been a misunderstanding, and she turns into an ancient silver dragon.
Yeah, and slays the lot. Excellent.
You are the heroes we need.
Yes, okay, so where's this island? In the middle of the lake somewhere?
It is to the east. Marcus may be more used to you in this respect than I can be. You also need a means of getting there.
We have a submarine.
The Crimson Spotcoctor.
Yeah.
It is possible that it would carry you under the storm.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
It's almost like it's been put there. Books in advance.
All right, so anything else we need to know?
We're not in a great hurry, are we?
Well, I want to go
Age
get
of
my
Worms.
breastplate.
Moves ever closer and moves rapidly.
Well, they're on their
there
way
is
to
to be
the
no-
island.
We've
They're
got
nearly...
a couple of days to get our magic.
These fiends will be at the island presently if they reach it alive. The Wheel of Days turns for the time being. The march of Chios gets ever closer.
Wheel of Days. Time being.
Not now, Scaly.
Where is the Crimson Spotcoctor at the moment? Is it back at Marcus's tower, or is it here?
Do you have any magical items that you can give us to assist us in our quest?
No.
Do you have any means of instant transportation?
Teleport, but I believe that the island is shielded from all magic.
Yes, but you could teleport us to Evenstar,
Yes, I should be able to do that.
and then we can make our way from there.
You have business there.
Yes.
Yes.
Is it to do with...
Magic.
Oh, shopping.
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 Oh, well, shopping is fine. Do your shopping.
Retail therapy.
Rendezvous with Marcus, but the greatest dispatch is what is required.
Well, it's tomorrow, isn't it, that we get the magic, the remaining items?
Let's say it's midnight on Asmodee. Tomorrow is Urt, and the day after is Moon Day, and that's when you get your magic.
Yeah.
Moon Day. Okay.
Yeah, but we can roll, we don't need to get into all the detail of that. Anyway, there we are. If you have no other questions for me, I bid you good luck.
Should we go and check out this other inn?
Sounds like it.
Doesn't that sound like that's the next bit? First of all, we need to go...
Yeah, she says, I think that sounds
The
like it's the
island.
next bit, Burple.
Yeah, that's the next book. Okay, well, we'll be back then.
I think that might be book 10, Burple. I'm not sure.
Yeah, okay, I understand.
What do you want to do? She is more than happy to keep passing the sherry around, and she's got loads of fags. Or I could send you to Evenstar now.
Yes, why don't we do that?
Yeah.
Yes. Let's get the
I've
magic
got to
bit
go and,
finished.
I've got to go and pick up my
She
stuff.
gathers you
from the
together like you're
deluxery.
having your photo taken.
I'm not going to
No,
Evenstar.
why not?
I've got to go and pick up my weapon, which is at the deluxery.
What? When?
What's your weapon?
Well, I can do it now.
Well, okay. Well, we'll hang around.
Do you know when
we'll
you go on
drink some
holiday
sherry.
with people and one of them
Yes.
is always like,
Yes. Oh, I left my thing at the hotel.
I left it there because of the banquet. Don't blame me.
Whereas everyone else had their stuff in the bags of holding, the portable hole.
I'll
I
recover
wasn't
my
gonna-
swords and I will put them in their scabbards and I will look witheringly and say, "Well, go on then,
It's all right. You're welcome.
go on then, go and get your bloody weapon."
Yeah.
So he goes
Well,
off. Have we left anything in the
Scaly as well?
inn? We haven't
Okay,
left
you sit
anything in
down
the Otis
and
hideout.
we'll have some sherry and cheese.
Yeah.
While we wait.
your coach
And
is at my
partner.
disposal. My coach is at
Our
your
coach is
disposal.
at your disposal.
Yeah, thanks very much. We'll take it. I'm going to dispose of your coach right now.
While we're waiting, do you have any means to increase the intelligence of my pet?
I don't know that I do,
There is a spell that does that.
Bugcraft.
I'm sure there's a spell.
I mean, there's a
enhances.
danger if you increase the intelligence of your pets, he'll actually be more intelligent than you.
Just want him a little bit more intelligent. I'll take out Cheeseman and introduce him to her.
Oh, she says. She bites its head off.
Oh.
Spits the head
Delicacy.
out. She says, I don't like the eyes and the
not-
brain, and then she eats the rest of it. And then uses the tail to floss.
Bit harsh.
That's a bit harsh. She actually...
Yeah, fine. She humours Cheeseman. I mean, it's a rat. She's a little bit like, ooh, but she's accepting of it.
All right, you can't enhance this intolerance. Okay, never mind.
Let me have a look and see what she can do.
It's all right. Don't worry.
Lashonna.
She's not as powerful as I thought.
Let's look
Doesn't
up
matter.
Lashonna.
Forget it.
She is a terrifying thing.
Probably a limited wish or something, I would have thought.
Yes, which is not necessarily beyond her. I'm just trying to find the right bit. It's all 3.5, you see this thing? Yeah, they don't give you much detail. I don't have that detail in front of me,
It's okay.
Johnny.
Don't worry.
Where are you
about
trying to head with this intelligence?
it. Oh, just give him a bit more intelligence so he's a bit more of a useful scout.
Right.
But anyway, doesn't...
I think you need a limited wish.
Yeah. Probably says you can... Oh, it's not that good. Duplicate any spell.
Of what level?
Varies on whether you know the school or not.
I think Awaken would do it. That's a spell. That's
Oh, there
a
we go.
druid
What is
spell.
that? What level is that?
5th level druid spell, I think. Might be Bard as well.
Okay, she hasn't got druid spells.
And I don't have that spell.
8 hours, huge, smaller beast. And... Oh, yeah, that's cool. That's the one I need.
Tonight's beer is Night Nurse, which I find has got a bit of a kick early on, but after the second pint.
Yeah.
Okay, so, Scaly, you head off. You go back to the Deluxury. You grab your giant chopper. You return to Lashonna, Mistwall Manor. Lashonna sends you all to Evenstar. To where?
Wherever she knows.
Let's say she sticks you in one of the gates. Mountain Gate.
Okay.
It's midnight. You can make your way through Evenstar's spring night streets. And the casino, of course. On the piles of probability and Lard, the casino is running. And why don't we just not get into dice rolls and stuff? Not sure that Fortuna will be there, but Kesha will be there, the halfling that you first encountered when you first teleported there. She organises you somewhere to stay. You can hang out in Evenstar for 36 hours, and it's Moon Day morning, at which point your items are delivered.
Awesome.
What are we getting? Oh, I've got the list somewhere, haven't I?
+2 breastplate.
And a +2 breastplate
So have I.
for sessions.
A staff of striking.
Potions of speed for me.
That's it. Your business is concluded. If you've crossed off the money, I think you've probably done it already.
I think we had to.
I want to sell my old breastplate.
Yeah,
Yep,
so we
sell
sell
it.
those. Half
Yep.
price, is that right? Yep.
How much
Yep,
is the
that's
+1
correct.
breastplate?
Oh, God. 1,500 plus the price of the breastplate, which I haven't got in front of me. Divide it by 2, and you get that cash.
Okie dokie.
Do you have
Tidy
that
all
to
that
hand
up with the
for-
accountancy.
So what's the next bit now? We're getting the spot cocktail, whatever it's called.
Where next? Marcus? The monastery? What do you want to do?
Oh,
Monastery?
Lucas keeps wanting to go, yeah.
I would say monastery, then Marcus, and then we get on the Crimson Spock.
Why do you
I want
want...
to try and find this island. Is that
Monastery is problematic, though.
What is it about the monastery?
so? I believe that
Children are our future.
at the monastery,
Teaching
I
them,
think
let
that
them lead the way.
Isenfen is likely to maybe A, have some information about this 10th planet, and B, she may have information about how we repair the orrery. And I'm wondering whether there's any chance of, now that we come with all this information and that we understand that she's an ally in the fight against the Age of Worms, then maybe we might actually be able to look in the sensor officially. Because Parker's original story is that he looked in the sensor basically because one of his jobs was to keep it clean, and
Try and keep it clean.
yeah, he basically got a look into it without actually really having permission to use it, which was his original vision of Cuthbert. This is years ago now. This is crazy. So I'm wondering whether if we explain to Isenfen the situation, that she will actually, maybe there is something to be gained by actually using the sensor.
It'll cost us a day.
Yeah, it will.
Sorry, why are we doing that now?
If it seems that our next quest is to basically have a fight on this island or whatever, we could conceivably go to the monastery afterwards.
Yeah, let's go afterwards.
I assume it's also dependent upon what Mike has prepared. doing a bit
And
of
also,
metagaming.
I'm in control of the spell, and I say we go to Marcus's.
I haven't prepared anything.
All right, are we all ready?
Graham, by the way, readers, is sitting here assembling a spiky monster as we play, which is quite cool. That sounds like a euphemism. A figurine, which
A mini.
We will post a picture of it in our social channels. As for what I've got prepared, Lucas, I mean, nothing, absolutely nothing. So
Right.
wherever you go, it's going to be a total farce.
So we're going to head off to Marcus's island.
Okay, you appear within Marcus's lake bed lair. He's asleep.
He's always asleep.
We don't need him, do we? Just need Bondi to drive us in the spot cockpit.
Silent. There's no sign of Elagos. There's no sign of Agath, of Thrunch. The only thing that seems to be awake is one of Marcus's wits. Its heavy-lidded, goblinoid eyes drift open as it sits on the corner of the desk as you arrive. It says, "I wouldn't wake him up if I were sleeping. You must give him to have some rest. What brings you here?"
We need to borrow the spot copter.
"We need to find Bondi. One moment." He hops down off the desk. He pads across to the teleportation circle in the centre and disappears up through the ceiling. 10 minutes later, he returns with a frowsy-looking, slightly irritated-looking Bondi. "Where are we going?"
Well,
The little wit tosses her a set of keys. He says, "Not a mark on it, please." And she walks across one of the bridges in the lair towards one of the giant windows, the window that dissolves to reveal the sub-pen within which the Crimson Spotcopter is berthed. You could board down the hatch into the control room. She spins up all of its various wheezing pipes and pressure machines and propulsion and whatever. You can assume your stations. You assume the same stations as you had before. There's the orb of sight and the orb of deflection.
we're a different
Skelly's never
group
really
of people
done this.
than before.
Because you had Alessandra then.
Yeah.
Yes.
The wit, there's a brief conversation with Bondi before you depart, you presume, giving her some coordinates, and off you go.
Are we going to have a...
The Crimson Spotcopter descends and starts its long, dark journey across
submarine
the lake bed.
combat?
And you haven't been going long before. No, not really. We're not going to do definitely not doing that.
Jesus.
The journey takes... Let's have a look now. Where is our map? The Eternal Storm is marked on...
Oh, I see.
Yeah. See that?
The swirly vortex thing.
I think it's more mythic and exciting and fantasy if we call it the Eternal Storm, but
Yeah.
swirly vortex thing, fine. It is 32 miles. I think we've established that that is basically a day's journey.
Good. Get my spell back.
Assuming that you return to Marcus mid-morning on the moon day, I think that as you reach early evening, Bondi says that she can detect turbulence, and you get the definite sense that you're travelling under the storm.
Okay.
At a certain point, she looks up, she says, "I think we're through it, at least the worst of it." And you start to ascend. You surface in a bay. Let me put you on a new map.
Ooh, a new map.
A new
Can I
shit
ask a really stupid question?
map.
Go on.
Yep.
No.
So about Dragotha, the rite they performed obscured Dragotha's phylactery from thought, history, and sight, as if it never existed at all. Blah blah blah. And then it said the loss of his phylactery 1,500 years ago left him a coward.
Mm-hmm.
But then you said earlier on that one of the things we wouldn't want to do is kill him, because that way he would get back to his being a lich.
Find out where it was.
He would find out where it was. If I was Dragotha, wouldn't that be the point at which I would just slit my throat and then die and then come back 10 days later when I'm a
Mike
lich
already
and know where
covered
my
that.
phylactery is? It just doesn't, I don't know, it's just not logical.
Mike's already covered that.
Did he?
Well,
I didn't understand it then.
it's an extremely good question. Such a good question, in fact, that they actually call it out in the book as a question that players may ask.
Uh-huh.
And the answer they give is, don't be so silly. If he could be sure that such a gambit would be successful, he would certainly have done so. But since he hasn't, it's fair to assume he believes that doing so would be like walking into a trap. He's no fool. He would expect that if the Order of the Storm went through the trouble to steal his phylactery
and do such a good job hiding it that they'd have something ready in case he tried something as desperate as self-destruction. Lashonna's voice wafts through the submarine.
Yeah.
Back to the new map.
So if he was killed, his soul would go into the phylactery. How it works.
Yes, I think that's right. So you know the location of it and you're brought back to unlife.
So
Are you brought back to unlife next to the phylactery then? Is that the way that works?
Let's have a look at liches, shall we?
So the Storm Lords, whatever they're called, must have put some barrier around the phylactery that would stop him coming out.
Seemed to make sense.
As a lich. And if you destroy the phylactery, then he's dead forever, right?
Yes.
So he probably didn't want to kill himself because there's a slight possibility, if he doesn't know where it is, that it's actually been destroyed. So if he killed himself, it might actually be dead forever.
That's the other thing that Lashonna said early on.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Okay. No, that's fair enough. That
Are we all happy?
satisfies
Everybody happy?
Yeah, it was satisfied.
We're not having to turn the sub around.
Satisfying
Bond is looking at you like, are we doing this or are we driving back? Are we going to go back? What are we doing?
No, it wouldn't have stopped us anyway. It just
She hums
wanted
to
to
herself
understand.
as you break the surface. Can you see the crimson spot cocktail?
Yes.
on
It's not
the map?
very crimson, though, is it?
Oh, for God's sake. Nor was the Red October, wasn't... Oh, I've given away how it's called this crimson spot cocktail. Anyway, whatever. I think it's just...
Could give it a red aura.
Red aura? Yes, fine.
Yes. What's the date?
Today, it is Moon Day, the 22nd of Fart, in the year 595 of the Order.
Is it still Moon Day? Or we took a day to get there?
It's a day's worth of travel. It's not 24 hours.
Oh, okay. Oh, so I still cast my 7th level spell.
Oh, I see. Well, yeah. Well, that's sort of red, Graham. Is that red
So much
enough?
better. That's perfect.
Like a blood stain around it in the water. Let me describe the bay to you. The storm is almost a wall of weather behind and around you, and then a promontory, a sort of flat tongue of land that spills towards you. A beachhead that's littered with driftwood and the splintered ruin of well over 100 ships. Skeletal wrecks crowd the rocky shoreline, a veritable city of barnacle-claimed vessels. People with dead sailors, broken skeletons wrapped in threadbare rags, hang out of yawning breaches in the ship's hulls, and tattered sails whip in the fierce winds sweeping the shoreline. One ship stands out from these weathered hulks, a recent victim of the wind and rocks. This gigantic sailing cog lies broken in two against a jagged rock on the eastern edge of the beach. Beyond the shore, the rocky beach angles up slightly to an ancient maze of ruined walls and standing stones. You've got a kind of cloud base that's about 60 feet.
Right.
And the pillars that form the entrance to this, well, what seemingly is a maze, disappear up into the cloud base,
Right, so we
into
can't
the
fly
storm.
over.
Where the storm is not held back by some, whatever it is, Telagos-based enchantment, it looks pretty scary. There's lightning stuff crackling around in it, and all of that business in it. Each square on this map is 10 foot by 10 foot, so the scale is chunky. And then I've blocked off the ingress into all of these pillars and stones that form, as it were, multiple entrances to a maze. Get a little bit closer, we'll reveal a little bit more. But for the moment,
I'm going to say that you are...
standing on the conning tower of the spot cocter. You've got about 30 or 40 feet of relatively shallow water from the nose of the spot cocter that you would have to wade through or slosh through to get to the shore. What would you like to do?
Well, no, forge ahead.
Well,
Okay.
I might just fly to the land.
Let's put some figures on, shall we?
Yeah. Okay, I've put myself on the map, just north of the spot cocter on the beach. I'm using my mandolin to cast fly.
Scaly's waded through the water.
And up and onto the beach.
I'll just follow Scaly. I walk across water.
Sessions?
I'm going to fly up and going to get a commanding view. I'm going to take
Okay.
out my sensor and light it.
Your sensor of air elementals.
Summoning, yep.
Halfway between the boat and
Yep,
the
that
boat
will-
and the shore.
Yep.
There are these teeth of rock sticking up in a regular pattern in between where the submarine is bobbing and the beach itself. So you can put yourself on or around one of them.
They look awfully like teeth, don't they? Now, the more that I look at it. So
Empire Strikes Back.
I think I might fly over here, in fact.
And Uncle Buggy?
Any chance of scrounging a ride on the sweepstake?
Yes, I'll do that. I'll ride him over, and then next round I'll summon the air elemental.
So you're all on the beach.
Well, I'm flying above it.
Me too.
You fly over, you wade, you land, you do whatever you do. While you're doing so, can you give me some perception checks, please? And I shall reveal some maze to you.
I'm going to also do a detect magic.
Yep.
Bertha gets 25.
And look at that.
Parker gets
Perception
another
on
one.
3.
I'm just going to reveal some interior to you as you look a little. Burple, your perception check was good enough to reveal to you that as you were making your transition from the spot cockpit to the shore, something flitted, a shadow flitted across from one of these standing stones that you can see into the shadows behind another that you can't. It was heading north west.
And I couldn't make out what it was.
Humanoid, probably with a bow or something slung over its shoulder.
Okay, I will make the universal, I've seen
From the
something,
silhouette.
movement signal
Yeah.
to everybody else.
Readers, there's a maze. We're going to try and abstract it, because if we start describing every block, it looks like a Tetris game in progress, looking at this map, and that is going to be a bit of a nightmare.
Post a picture
So-
on social media.
Yeah, we can post a picture on social media, but we'll get to that, because this, readers, it's the 12th of October as you're listening to this, if we've actually hit our mark. And the next thing that happens is that from the shadows at the east end of the openings to the maze, from the darkness, an arrow streaks out. Looks like a relatively regular arrow, but as it emerges and flashes into what feeble sunlight there is, it changes course. And it turns and it starts heading towards you all, and as it nears you, it whoops into flame. And we will find out who fired that arrow, where it's come from, how much trouble you're in, what secrets await you on the island of Telagos, where we pick things up next.
Fight!
A bloody last.
Right.
Excellent. It's fun.
The Billowing Hilltop podcast is a Billowing Hilltop production. Dungeons & Dragons is a trademark of Wizards of the Coast. The Library of Last Resort and Age of Worms are copyright Paizo. The Library of Last Resort was written by Nicholas Logue. Music is from Kevin MacLeod on Incompetech.com and is used with thanks under the Creative Commons license. Additional music and sound effects come from the wonderful Sirenscape. All other original material is copyright Billowing Hilltop. Role-playing games are all about getting people together, and we use Roll20 as our tabletop, the perfect place to host your game, and Discord to host our chat. Thanks for listening!